Welcome to the Deep Dive by OVTLYR, where we uncover the market's hidden trends and give you the edge you need. Head on over to OVTLYR.com right now to save time, make money, and start winning with less risk today. Now let's jump right in.
Hey there. Welcome back for another deep dive. You ready to jump into some fascinating stuff happening in the Asia-Pacific markets?
Always ready.
All right. So today we're looking at a CNBC article. It's from December 10th, 2024. And get this. We've got China making moves to boost their economy. A big cosmetics IPO in Hong Kong. Even a gold rush is brewing.
Yeah, it really captures like a snapshot of what's going on in the region right now.
I know, right? And you might be thinking, what does this have to do with me? Well, even if you aren't directly investing in Asian markets, what happens over there, it kind of ripples out, you know?
Yeah.
It affects everything from global trade to the prices we see right here at home.
Yeah, that interconnectedness is key. Like those seemingly, far away events, they can actually have an influence on things like inflation, interest rates, even the cost of your morning coffee.
It's true. All right, so let's start unpacking this with China. Beijing announced plans for fiscal and monetary stimulus, basically tools to try and boost spending within their economy.
And the markets reacted almost immediately. You could see the CSI 300 index, which tracks some of the biggest companies in mainland China. It saw a noticeable jump.
Yeah, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng index got a boost too, though maybe not as big. Seems like some folks over there had already kind of anticipated this move. But here's what I found interesting. China's 10-year bond yield hit a record low. Can you break that down for someone who's not a finance whiz?
Sure. Think of bond yields as a kind of interest rate temperature gauge. So when yields go down like they did here, it often means investors are feeling pretty confident about the government's plans. They're essentially betting that China's economy is going to stabilize, so they're willing to accept lower returns on their investments.
So it's almost like a vote of confidence from the financial world.
Exactly. And this is precisely what Bart Mellick, who we mentioned earlier, highlighted in the article. He said the market is starting to believe that other central banks might follow China's lead and start buying up gold again.
So this renewed interest in gold could signal broader economic trends, like concerns about inflation or the possibility of a global slowdown.
Right. Gold often acts as a kind of gauge for economic sentiment. When investors are feeling uncertain, they tend to seek refuge in assets like gold, which are seen as safe havens.
It all goes back to that idea that seemingly unrelated events can be deeply interconnected in the world of finance.
Absolutely. We need to consider a wide range of factors, from central bank decisions to geopolitical events, to truly understand what's happening in the markets.
It definitely paints a picture of a very complex and dynamic global landscape. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today, from China's moves to boost their economy to that potential TikTok ban, and even gold as a safe haven asset. Seems like a lot's happening in the Asia-Pacific markets.
Yeah, it's a dynamic region for sure, with its own, set of influences. And it's interesting to see how those factors play with global trends.
I'm curious, after this deep dive, what are your main takeaways? What should our listeners really remember?
I think that interconnectedness we keep coming back to, what happens in one part of the world, like China's stimulus or the TikTok situation, it ripples out. We see it in market indices, in investor sentiment, even in the price of gold.
Right. And it feels like there's this balance. On one hand, there's optimism in some Asian markets, especially with China being so proactive. But then there are those global factors and risks like inflation and whatever the Federal Reserve decides to do.
Exactly. It's like navigating a ship through calm and choppy waters at the same time. Got to be aware of the currents, the wind, and any potential storms on the horizon.
So what do you think all this means for the global economy in the coming months? Is this optimism in Asia a sign of things to come or just a temporary blip?
That's the million-dollar question, right? There's no easy answer. Reasons to be hopeful, reasons to be cautious. The global economy is this complex system, so many moving parts. But I think the key is staying informed, analyzing different viewpoints, understanding that interconnected nature of it all, whether you're an investor or just trying to understand the world around you.
That's a great point. This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about, and I hope it's done the same for you listening. If you want to explore this further, I highly recommend checking out that full CNBC article. It's titled Asia Markets Live, Australia Rate Decision, China's Stimulus Plans. You can find it on their website.
It's definitely a valuable resource for anyone who wants to keep up with the Asia-Pacific region and its global impact.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive for today. We'll be back soon with another fascinating exploration, so stay tuned.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and engaged.
Hey, thanks so much for deep diving with us today. Head on over to OVTLYR.com. That's OVTLYR.com to save time, make money, and start winning with less risk today. And we'll see you next time.